Here we go.
Now we're ready. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And pray with me, please. Father, thank you for this opportunity we have to meet here this morning in this very cold weather, but we're so thankful for the warm houses we came from and the warm place that we have to meet. And Father, it makes us mindful of the folks who are less fortunate, who are sleeping in tents this evening and looking for help and warmth. And so help us to remember these people as we go about our daily lives. We thank you for opportunities for service. We'll be talking about that yet again today, and we ask you for wisdom for knowing how we can best use our resources. And as always, Father, we thank you for the gift of your Son, Jesus, our Savior. For it's in his name that I offer this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Hey, good morning, Gavin. How are we doing this morning?
Oh, look.
These folks rolling in here.
All right. Oh, look. Good morning. Good morning. Well, good. This is good. Glad to see you this morning. Let me just open the door, and I'll get started.
Be right behind me. Right behind me.
Well, we'll start doing. Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
Well, several things we have to handle. Some items I need to handle, if you don't mind. Welcome to the new year. And I'd like to, first of all, recognize Gavin, the first fine of 2018. Gavin, I need $1 from you. And to Steve Hunt. I need, here we go, Steve and Glenn. And our kitty is getting low, so we need to have two. Good deal.
I got Gavin and Steve. I know how these things can be.
What's the reason for these fines?
Here you go.
Good morning.
Somebody's already got it.
Somebody beat you.
Gavin, you already got it?
We also have 3 others that just find us.
Who else? Who else was it? You, Steve, and who?
All right. Ron, go back to a question. What was it?
That's all late attendees, is that the fine?
Yes, sir, it is. The bell sounded as protocol.
That's for the, that's for him and who else is
All
there.
right. Good deal.
I got you.
All right.
Is he not?
Thanks, so.
Pass that on down. Well, yeah, we're gonna lay it
Here's backpack money, Richard.
I thought he was here today.
on.
Oh, yeah.
We'll find you in a second.
Okay, yeah, Richard. Here. Hold on. Give me that. Yep.
That's food money.
He's your fault. Here, put mine in.
Just the food money pile here?
Richard's power.
All right, a couple items of business after we get a few things when I can get Rick's money, so I think we already covered Rick, so we're in good shape. Donald, thank you. Steve, now you put your $1 in, have you not?
Yes.
Okay, we covered it. All right, let me get started. Thank you.
No, I think,
I paid for 2
You
people.
paid his?
yeah.
Yeah, Gavin paid himself, I paid Doc and Steve.
All right. Donald, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. All right, couple items of business. Last meeting, if you remember, Ron, I called on you, and we had a picture in the Hidden Data Record, if you remember. And I always called and for you to interpret the picture. And it was somewhat odd. It was in the sports section of the Hickory Daily Record. You don't usually see this, but we had Austin's picture in here. And we asked the question, service above self. And you said, no, this does not service above self, that Austin would have to pay the fine for this picture.
I would gladly pay that.
All right, here we go. I need it as a fine. All right, great, thank you. Here's your paper.
All right.
Now, Ron, the other question, Hickory Daily Record. All right, on the inside page, we had a Rotarian that read, it says, former Superintendent Sheriff's Holiday Spirit. And he was reading to a class, I believe, at Jenkins Elementary School.
Correct.
Now, would you interpret this service above self, or would you, how would you identify
Definitely
it?
service.
Service.
Yeah.
All right, everybody has $1 put in the
Blue bucket.
blue bucket, service above self. Rick, in case you don't have that picture, I want you to have it. Yes, sir.
Did he mention the Rotary though?
Now, Richard is not here, and I want to tell you, I'll tell the story again next week. But it's dealing with the bucket and a concern in our food. It's concern about Jake being fed. And as a result of that, I've expressed concern. Jake and Gabe, and also Richard, came over to my house, and he wanted me to look at Jake to be sure that he was well fed. So I can report to you this morning that he's at least 140 pounds, and he seems to be well fed.
Now, is this the dog of the church? Yes.
That is some dog, I can tell you. All right, I believe that's it. Anything else? Okay.
Not that I know from
Thank you.
Sergeant of Arms
Welcome to the new
perspective.
year, Rotarians. Thank you.
Before we move off to the program, while we're chatting about Richard, I don't want to lose sight of the program at Richard's church, which is coming up in 2 weeks or so. Help me out, folks.
Fourth Sunday.
The fourth Sunday. Fourth Saturday. Fourth Saturday.
27.
And this, as you all remember, will involve us being there to help, most importantly, to bring food in the form of soup and any sort of grocery supplies. We may also want to kick in for making sandwiches. Ron, typically you've helped us with bread, is that correct?
Right,
Will you be able to do that
I
again?
think so.
Okay. So we'll sort of expect Richard to give us some final details on that. But keep in mind that we're going to need to have some time there at Richard's church on Saturday to help serve, and of course beforehand to bring in some soup and help with the sandwiches. That's what I know of is coming up in the immediate future. Is there anything else that we need to keep mindful? Of course, we've got the dance coming later.
Dance now.
Yeah.
We have, that's the same Saturday we have the feeding of the neighborhood in the other section of the church.
Okay.
That's combined.
They're gonna combine those, Jim.
I believe they're combining them, Jim.
The feeding of the neighborhood then is the regular Saturday lunchtime meal?
That's our weekend day.
Okay.
Sure. Just before 1
Okay.
o'clock.
Yes. So, sorry, what?
Give Rod a chance to talk about the dance
Yeah.
tickets.
Yeah, Bob talked to Kenny yesterday. The tickets are printed.
Should be printed.
Should be printed, so we'll have to start going after that big time. Because like Bob said, this band is not as well known as the other bands we've had. So it might be a little bit better. We're gonna have to push harder to get the ticket sales.
What's the name of the band?
Blackwater Rhythm and Blues. I mean, they're a well-known beach band, but they're not as sought after as the band of Oz, so you won't have the.
Just the name recognition.
Yeah, exactly.
If at all possible, when the tickets are printed, could I get them all? That way I can number them all and dictate, who can guess what, I can keep track of it that way.
What's the date of it again?
It's the 17th or 18th of March. 17th.
Saturday.
Saturday.
And it is St. Patrick's Day, right?
It is.
So, I mean, that's another advantage, because I mean, people like to go out and get blasted on St. Patrick's Day.
It will help them.
That's
One
right.
other- Yeah, we do.
You're gonna
One
have
other
to
idea I
have to
mentioned
bring
to
out-
Bob, I think would be nice to promote this when it opens. If we could get someone with bagpipes to come in, since it's St. Patty's Day, and to lead into the upstairs, playing the bagpipes, circle, and come back out and start it off.
Maybe playing under the boardwalk on the bagpipe.
Gavin might have a suggestion.
Cultural appropriation there, Wayne, I'm offended. Plus, that's Scottish rather than
I was gonna say.
Well,
it
we
is.
might have some Scottish beer, so that maybe will offset any problems.
We have a Scotch ale.
I used to know somebody who did that, but I don't know.
There's a local
Maybe
guy.
we can get Ron
St.
Paul
Clair,
on
in front of the park.
Yeah,
Pregnancy
Yeah,
Care
the
Center.
Women's Resource Center.
Yes.
I love hearing it. I don't know when they just, 4 or
Just
5 of them
shows
get
up.
together and play. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
about noon on Saturdays.
Must be part of Gavin's band.
No, they're real.
They're real.
And the advertisements are going to cost, going to be the same?
Gavin could be the welcome
Yes.
person at the door.
Yes, the posters should be printed, tickets are being printed. I talked to Alan Finley, he's gonna do the same thing he always does for us, for the dance. We're all lined up. The venue's in place, same thing. Robert got a check back from the venue for $200, was it $200? Yes, and thanking us again for our contribution to the Rights Mill.
Could I make a suggestion that if we want to do this properly Irish, and forget about the pipes and the kilt and everything, we just all turn up blind drunk and have a fight.
There you go. Make it authentic, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
There is some truth to the Notre Dame fighting Irish, right?
Yeah.
Come here, you get some green beer.
Tar Heel Wealth Management has stepped up again and gave us another $3,000.
Oh, my
Wow.
So,
The Cafe Rule had indicated they would want to do more, and so, because they had folks show up to dance and had a ball, and they bought an ad last time, but I was talking to one of the general managers, and she seemed to be really interested in it.
okay.
She said, well, call me and we'll talk about it. So I'll call and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, and Robert, you're on to
Yeah,
somebody.
on the comp set, I'm working with them to $3,000 thing.
It's great.
But again, it's, they don't want to hear anything about it.
Okay. Anything else we need to be mindful of for the calendar before we turn it over for program? Okay. Bob?
Dr. Wimberly is indisposed this morning, so you got second best. Welcome to the new year. A number of things we do as a club to be recognized as the Club of Distinction, Club of Excellence, and for 2 years, the best small club in the district. To that end, we have 2 sets of goals that we ascribe to. One for the presidential citation from Rotary International, and the district club recognition goals. Pink pages proof. And in that regard, you can't very well meet your goals if you don't know what they are. So here they are. This is through, I'm going to mention some things and tell you how to plug into it later. These are printed out of Rotary Club Central. If you go to rotary.org and go to RCC2, you can look at the club's record area by area anytime you wish. I say that with my tongue in my cheek because I will make an offer when we're all done with this part of it. Anybody who wants to, it's gotten more complicated. Anybody who wants to give me their preferred email address and password, I will start your enrollment in Rotary.org. Because the way it works now, you have to go to the site, attempt to log in, give them your password and your email, and they will send you a password for the site, and then you can complete your registration into Rotary.org. Believe me, it doesn't make me happy, but it's part of life. But I am willing to get you started. If you, how many have a Rotary.org open account right now? I know 3 of us do. Raise your hand. 3 of us do.
To clarify, this is not DAT-DB.
This is not DAT-DB. We're going to get to that next.
All right,
Okay.
What exactly do you mean by open account?
You can go in and look at anything inside Rotary once you can log in as a member of Rotary. Okay. This is to let you to get behind the veil. You can go to Rotary.org now and see the public face of Rotary. But if you want to see who's doing what, where, when, who the fellowships are, who the action groups are, talk to another club member, talk to another club, set up a grant, anything like that. See Showcase, which highlights, enter stuff in Showcase, which highlights what clubs are doing. To do all that, you have to be able to log into Rotary.org. Okay? There are things you can do as foundation chair that nobody else can do. But we can get closer to it if we log in through Rotary.org to see what you're doing with the foundation and what our foundation scores are. Okay?
So anybody can go, if you remember, you can go to Rotary.org and just sign up in the way that you said. Do you need, presumably, you need your Rotary number, do you?
You will have to know your Rotary number. See, I can pull that off the website. And like I said, if you'll give me your email and password, I will pull you up and you will get an email from them with a login password for the site. Okay. We will do the same thing for DAC-DB, which is the club database. It is a administrative management tool for the district, for any district, and our district subscribes to it. I forget what they pay. It's a sizable number to have, DAC-DB available to us. It lets us send blanket emails. It lets us keep our attendance records that forward themselves. It lets us interface what we put in between the district records and the international records, that sort of thing. So if you, how many have a DAC-DB account? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, you have. We did it when we did our grant. Okay. So if you want to get yourself enrolled, you'll provide me that information and we'll get started with that. Now, in that regard, if you were in Rotary.org, Club Central, you would see that our first goal that we're required to address is club membership. We have a goal that went in at the start of the year, the start of Phil's year, to be at 30 by the end of June. We are now up to 26.
That's right. We've made a significant drop.
We took a step back. So we really need to pick up 4 or 5 members before the end of the year to be anywhere near our goal. And in that regard, for those of you who have time with the club, I printed out a mining list of prior members. And if anybody wants a copy of the prior members list to look for someone you know or could approach, Bobby, I don't know who else, Dr. Tickney, anybody like that, if you've ever released his schedule enough that he could come back. I know he said he can't get up early in the morning, because I've hit him a couple times when I've been by here. But
He had worked with me in 3 or 4 years.
I know, but he's 3 rooms up the hall. Isn't he?
Not to my knowledge.
Been a while since I saw him then. Huh. Oh, well, anyhow, there's a mining list. If somebody wants to look at prior members, we have a list of names that go with that.
Bob, could you send that maybe by email, or is it just
Now you challenging me to how much, I never use that part of DAC-DB. I quite possibly can email it, yes. But there is a printed, it's just only 2 pages, it's or 1 page, it's a printed list, short.
Oh, I thought that was all of that.
No, those are copies, I printed 15 copies in case anybody wanted one. No,
Okay, 340.
I was just saying, Ron, what have you been doing?
Speaking of membership, where is the brick?
I think I have,
Yeah, there's one in the cabinet and you have
I
one.
think I have one
So-
in the office.
Okay. And we need to get more serious with that if we're gonna come anywhere close. And you'll see why, because the third goal for
Well,
Rotarians.
Wait, time out, what's the second goal?
I didn't get there yet. I'm jumping to
You're going
third.
from first to third.
Yeah, because it relates to the first.
Okay.
The third goal is new member sponsorship. In other words, anybody who sponsors a member, our goal is to have 2 of us bring in new members, okay? New member sponsor. So those 2 go together, Rick. That's why we went from 1 to 3. Number 2 is a gimme. It is service participation between winter warmth, feed the needy, Moldova, backpacks, the face of a child.
Stand down.
Stand down, oh yes. We'll triple our goal in service. So I'm not worried about that one. There is one that isn't that easily attained. There are things called Rotary Action Groups. They are focus areas for giving, serving, helping, honoring, recognizing, feeling good about yourself groups. They are addiction prevention, AIDS and family health, Alzheimer's and dementia. Anybody who's interested in CART might want to belong to that action group. Blindness prevention, blood donation. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to read clubfoot. I don't know what it means. Dentistry, domestic violence prevention, diabetes, disaster assistance. Any of those who've been active in Red Cross might be interested in promoting preservation of endangered species, mental health, microfinance. You remember what microfinance is, by the way? That's those $1.98 grants to third world groups to create revenue generating activities. Some might have multiple polio survival, slavery, water and sanitation. Of course, water and sanitation is the action group that has had the most hits worldwide. But there are Rotary action groups.
If you can get me a list of those, I'll send them out to everybody.
Okay.
Yep, let's talk just a little bit about the Rotary Action Groups.
Okay, please.
They are, it's obviously not just a local group, it's more of a virtual membership in the group sort of a thing. If it's a cause that you feel called to help promote, it's an excellent opportunity for you to gain a little more service for yourself as a Rotarian. I knew very little about them until I went to the convention in Atlanta, and part of the expo area at the Atlanta convention was promotion of these various groups. And there are action groups and interest groups. If you dig into this, you'll see that they're both going on. The action groups, as Bob just listed out, focus on key areas of service. The interest groups are quite varied. There's a train interest group of all things. These are people who are interested in going places by train and such.
That's the next subject, fellowships.
Thank you.
There are fellowship groups that we will discuss here in a moment.
But so the action groups are
hands-on,
are more service oriented, and a great opportunity for you. If you see something in there that you want to, that's near to you, it's a great opportunity to join up and provide some help with that.
Okay. The other kind of activity is less hands-on and more affiliation, fellowship type stuff.
Is this goal 5? Or still going 4?
I don't know that we have a goal for the
Back
next
to,
In a way, the next goal is, let's cover the goals. Leadership, development, and participation. We have the Rotary Leadership Institute. We couldn't, any of us, attend. I was in Black Mountain, and you guys were getting ready for a dance when it was being held in Valdez. The Rotary Leadership Institutes are held at a number of places throughout the zone and district. I printed out when and where those are. Our goal is to have had 2 of us attend one of these RLI opportunities. I'll put a set here, anybody wants to look at that. I'll put a set in the middle, a set at the end of dates when, that's okay, when these institutes are available to be seen and participated in. If, and my mind's failing me right now, if there is a fee for this, it would be like $75, and the club ought to pay that for any participants who want to go. But we should, it's in the area of leadership development, so we ought to look at it. Any of our younger, greener individuals can go to that. I'll be going. District conference. That's the end of year meeting for the district. Will be held again this year in Johnson City. Can't remember the name of the.
Gatlinburg.
No, the golf club. Meadowview. 4 of us should attend that. Phil will probably go. Don will probably go. I will go. I'm signed up to go.
When is that?
That I didn't print out. That is
April?
it's either end of April, 1st of May, right in that area, because it comes like 6 weeks before the end of the calendar year or the Rotary year. District training is the last goal. I'm stepping ahead one more time. Okay, fellowship. We're going to go back to fellowship. That was number 7.
I thought there were 5 goals.
There are 8 goals inside Rotary Club Central. Okay.
Which one are we on now?
Okay. District conference
Who's
is
on
number
first?
6. Okay. Rotary fellowships, which we're going to back up to, is number 7.
Gotcha.
District training is for officer preparation.
That's 8.
So that'll be number 8. And we need to send 3 to that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, back to fellowships and why I held it for last. Hey, Rick.
Yo.
There is a Rotary International Fellowship for those interested in education. I thought perhaps you or Jen or one might like to look at that.
I'll look at it.
Okay. Hey, Richard. And that's too bad. He's going to catch the tape. Hey, Richard. There is a Antique, Classic, and Historic Automobile Fellowship for those of you who invest in junk. Somebody just got one. Who was it?
We got one right here.
Oh, yeah. Bob, might be of interest to you. Might be fertile farming area, too.
You never know.
Did you buy that Lamborghini?
Yeah. 2 of them.
Okay. And look at this. I've got a newsletter published by an Australian cop who is a member of, I forgot the name of it. I got one for, I'll come back to you. I got one for Phil. Long distance running and endurance,
Oh, yeah.
biking
Yeah, yeah. that's
interest.
good.
International peace understanding. Ljubljana. What was happening at Ljubljana? Oh, roading marathon at Ljubljana. There is applications for, oh, who do we have that's a scout backer? There was somebody besides me who gets active in scouting programs.
Jack Crawford a long time ago.
Oh, well, anyhow, there's a International Fellowship of Scouting Rotarians. But having said all that, another shopping list. This is a list of the fellowships that are available. You won't believe some of them. Like Phil started, I couldn't believe it. How about a Rotary Fellowship for Magicians?
That's right. I saw that one too. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Well, his name is Trick, so.
4x4ing, amateur radio, antique classic cars. Oh, wait a minute. No, it can't be.
Woodworking.
No, beer. A
Beer.
fellowship for beer.
Gavin signs up for that one.
We can handle that.
Bob, just so we get, so I understand what's going on here.
Yes.
All right. The fellowship, there are many opportunities to get involved in a virtual group or?
It is, yes, you start by getting in online.
Okay, so in order to address all of these goals, we have to get into this Rotary.org.
If I remember correctly, you can, the easiest way is if you're eligible to enroll in, enter through the joining mechanism of Rotary.org.
Absolutely.
It is possible for some of these to Google the fellowship and get a hit on the fellowship directly, because that's what this whole bunch is. This is a list of the websites that these fellowships maintain. And some of these will take a hit directly, and some of them will only take a hit through Rotary.
But the easiest thing is go through Rotary.org.
Yep.
To go through the mechanism as prescribed.
Okay, so,
Correct.
and we do that by sending you your email and password to get into the email.
Yeah, and we'll get you started. It'll get you started. What we'll do is I'll take what you give me, your email and password, and I'll add your Rotary number to it. I will initiate your entrance into Rotary.org. And then you will get an email with a new password for that site. When you get that, bring it in. We'll fire up my laptop and we'll close your enrollment so you have an account. Okay? That would be the simplest thing that I could do to help with that. God, I can't believe it. Wellness, fitness, tennis, skiing, shooting, scuba diving, Russian culture. Damn it, Russian culture.
Yep.
Isn't that a Celtic branch?
Absolutely not. Exclude them.
Interestingly enough, there might be some things our spouses would be interested in, like quillers and fiber arts and where's Gerardo? Latin culture. A little bit racist there, but anyhow, I would expect he might, because he and I were just conversing.
From a goal standpoint,
Yes.
how does our club meet this goal?
We get 2 people to sign up for a fellowship.
So, okay, so you need 2 for fellowship, how much for the action group?
2. The action group is 2
All right.
also. Yes, Rotary Action Group 2.
Yeah, when you get the beer down.
And, because frankly, I just, that got to be 2 because I thought of Steve and Richard. Richard with his car, Steve with his interest in the badge, because the guys I met at Atlanta that were they were lacrimating when I said I had you and your background, and they said, oh, we'd love to have him join us. So
Sign them up.
yeah, anyhow, and interestingly enough, there is also a retired military veterans action group.
Action or fellowship?
I'm sorry, fellowship. Thank you for correcting me. Fellowship. So we have fellowships you can look at, shopping list. We have goals. On another date, we'll get into the presidential or the district governor's pink pages and what we have to do for that. But when we've accomplished most or all of these, we will be 80% done with our district obligations as well.
And just to confirm, it is the end of April for the district conference.
Okay.
Like April 27th to the 29th.
That's right, thank you. It's interesting. There is not a presidential goal for the international convention, but there is inside the district a goal for however many of us might go to Toronto. And I think that'll be easy enough to hit. The hard one's going to be getting the Rotary Leadership Institute attended to. So I will approach some of you individually and by email on when some of us might go, because I provide rides to get to that Rotary Leadership Institute. And there are several that are coming close. Carrie's not really close, but January 13th, Carrie.
That's next week.
Blacksburg, that doesn't count. Pets won't count. I don't think there's any free session to pets for that. Charleston. We missed it when we couldn't go to Valdez. I'll have to see if there's a way to get us an RLI scheduled back in this area again, because it really is something in terms of leadership development we need to participate in. Other questions? Okay. Fetching up the new year. Additionally, we have to this month publish a complete list of officer candidates, chairs and chair candidates for this coming year. And I'll get with Donald and we'll see whose chairs are filled. And so you may be approached by Donald or myself to complete that roster so we can get it keyed in and get that recorded. That is part of the DAC BB records for the pink pages. It is a complete list and roster of participants. Other questions?
Only a comment from your club president. It is a special blessing, truly a special blessing, to have a secretary that works as hard as Mr. Reinhardt works for us. It's a huge load off of me for all the stuff that Bob does. And Bob, thank you so much again and again and again for all your work.
If you look at that shopping list, mining old members, Michael Wimberly's name appears twice because he's been in and out. And so I haven't looked at this list for a long time. There are things that your club secretary should have done to keep this addressed and purged. And none of my predecessors did, and I haven't as yet, but I will.
I don't think we want Michael Woodward. Gotta go. Michael's been in and out of what?
This club, Rotary. He's on the list, look.
Okay, actually, there are 4 people on that list, Bob, that you may want to look at. There are 4, Michael Wimberly being the 4th, but you got Glenn Pinckney twice, Mark Pittman twice, and Susan Vincent twice. So we are counting 4 people.
Some of that's Mark Pittman's problem. He's the one that was maintaining it for the longest time.
Then Bob, there's also 2 on there that passed, and that's Robert Stiers and Elliot T.
Let me.
Robert Stiers passed away about a month ago.
Stiers, okay.
And I can't believe this is all of them. I mean, Chris Cazell, Kerry Regan, Herb Weitzel.
Yeah, that's not from going all the way back.
No,
can't be.
we've got the badges out there.
Who's the other one died?
Oh, no.
Elliot T, right underneath Stiers.
Oh, okay. 2 things happened. One, this list pretty much dates from when the district bought DAC DB services, okay? So that's when the list starts. It's not when the club started. So there are members tags that could be double checked on too. But in that regard, we need to, in that area of having an active chair, we need someone to husband the Rotary group on campus here. We have Dr. Peltzer's club and ours have agreed to coordinate on the development of a club here, which we would become the lead dog because it's on campus here. And they have a lady who is activity development coordinator or something for the campus here, that's a member of their club, and she's willing to get the club energized and started, and maybe even be the campus liaison, advisor, whatever they call it. But we need somebody in our group who will be the one who looks up and says, hey, what you guys doing about this? You know, when they need to meet, when they need to organize, eventually when they get started. So that's another chair to fill, Mr. Donald. Other questions, offers, questions, answers? Again, give me your email and the password to it, and I will get you started on. Remember the last time I tried to do the DAC-DB enrollment explanation, this thing failed me, and it hasn't gotten any better. So the best I can do is and I apologize, I got hacked. If you get an email from Chris Batista, duck it, bury it, burn it, whatever you can. He got himself interposed between my ISP and me, took in all my emails, resent them to me, and started sending garbage to everybody else. And my email got shut down by CenturyLink for spamming. And it's taken since 2 days before Christmas till 8 o'clock last night to get that thing cleared and passable again. So my Embark mail account is back online, but it was not for the longest time, and I lost 400 emails.
Oh.
So anyhow, I should be reachable now. If you want to contact me directly, use the Reinhardt182@yahoo.com, which is on the back of the bulletin. That'll work better. That's less garbage.
How many accounts do you have now, Bob? I remember we had to take you to task about this at one time.
I have 4.
You still got 4?
Yeah. But what I'm gonna do, frankly, I've got 45 computers, and I'm gonna put one email account on each computer, okay? So that anybody who contacts me will have free access to that unit without garbage, and it won't become an address that's popularly shared. It'll be specifically focused areas.
Thank you for all that information. Thank you once again for all you do for our
Not a
club.
problem.
Other things that we need, yes.
I have three comments to make. One question is on this Rotary Action Group. What is slavery?
I haven't gotten into it. There are a number of those, like I said, like Clubfoot. I don't know what Clubfoot means,
Okay.
and I'm gonna get into them and see what they're offering, what they're selling. But I think slavery, the slavery group is trying to break up institutionalized prostitution, human trafficking. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because that has become a euphemism for slavery.
Okay.
Or slavery's become a euphemism for that.
Yeah, it's not
Slavery in India.
It's not a historical group.
No, it's not
It's working
historical.
on what's going on today.
Also, you could put prostitution there rather than slavery, you'd need a lot of participation.
Yeah.
Especially with this group.
You get enrollees.
There's Wayne in the gutter.
Also, some of you remember, I don't know, it's been 2 years, close to 3 years ago, I asked you to support Samantha Monroe as she is going off to law school. The club gave her $500. And this Saturday before last, I went to her law school graduation meeting.
That's great.
And she wants to come to the club and say thank you. However, she said to me, the month of January, my head's going to be in the books because I'm studying for the bar. And after that, I will join you and say, some of you did personal donations, and she's very appreciative of that, but I want to refer to that as well.
Great.
And also, as we move into 18, we've got to get very serious about this membership thing, and I am very serious about it. So I want us to start doing some of the things that we talked about with the break as we move forward. So we'll talk about some other things as we move forward. If
Make
you
that,
want me to
make
remain
that
in
challenge
role.
even more personal. Every one of us has at least one friend that would be suitable to join.
Sure.
And shame on us with this and the dance coming up. If we can't entice a friend to the dance, pay their way to the dance, and get them interested in us, then we aren't alive. We can bring a friend.
Yep. You need to, you're right.
That's all I had, sir.
Anything else?
If anybody wants to make a gutsy run at DAC TV, I've got the how to create a Rotary account and how to create a DAC TV account. You can do it on your own if you wish. I handed those out 2-3 months ago once. I'm prepared to do it again, but like I said, I looked at it and said, you know, offer a helping hand. So
Yeah, thank you.
that's what brought that about.
Bob?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to throw out there for discussion, maybe with our group, with extreme temperatures like we haven't seen in many years, that I thought maybe the club would consider starting our own warming station with Austin's help at the soup kitchen. I think it would get folks off the road and into a warm shelter. There's problems with the Salvation Army. People just don't want to stay there. They don't feel safe for whatever reason there is. And roughly, I think Austin's told me that it would cost $100 a night to staff with one staff member and some volunteers. And I think it's a worthwhile endeavor for us to pursue.
Well, time out, because we just talked about this morning. So let's back up a little bit. There are warming stations that are set up by churches, and one of the things that Bob asked, he was like, well, why doesn't the soup kitchen do that? And that's because we have to staff it. The reason we have the churches do it is because, frankly, nobody has the money to staff it. or at least not in our budgets, and the church has stepped up to do it. One of the things that me and Phil have discussed, because he is the coordinator at First Presbyterian and has frankly hung in there on holidays and weekends and made some tough decisions too. It's not an easy thing to do, these warming stations, and your president here, y'all have no idea the anxiety that this man has to go through constantly has to be reassured that he's doing the right thing. But that being said, me and Phil have discussed actually, there's a place, it's called the Lifehouse, it's next to the Salvation Army, that's picked up the Tuesday night. Our Tuesday night church had to bail. So one of the things we talked about, its proximity to the Salvation Army, which is right there. Okay, let me explain this too. I'll back up even further. Between 4 and 10, there's nowhere to be out of the cold, right? At 10 o'clock, the Salvation Army opens its dining room to those who don't live there. And I'll tell you right now, there's not a bed available. So if you want to go to the Salvation Army, you can't even get in. But at 10 o'clock, they open their dining room. This is a nationwide thing that they do now. They open it up at 10 o'clock, they put mattresses on the floor, and you can stay there from 10 to 8. 10 o'clock at night to 8. But there's a time frame where it's still 15 degrees outside. That's where the churches come in. Now this Lifehouse is picked up, they're the pickup point. Right? They're kind of a day shelter kind of place while the Salvation Army is closed. And now we talked about staffing it and what it would cost just for 1 year at most. At most. And me and Phil were figuring $1,500 to $2,000 is what it would cost. So let's get some more ducks in a row before we ask the club certainly for anything. But just know that it's going on, and that there is a warm place for folks to go.
Well, how much room do they have there?
They don't have enough, and that's the problem. They've begun to move things around, though. Pastor John has moved things around. There's another wrinkle, too, but I won't get into that. Y'all have plenty of other things to talk about.
So right now, there is an evening where there is no warming station?
There was, but the Lifehouse has picked that up. I had a church who was out on Startown. It's just too far from the proximity. But I think we're covered. I mean, I do think we're covered, and there should be a warm place to go, no matter what your situation, 7 days a week at this point.
Yeah, just sort of a quick overview on what life is like right now for homeless folks. You have a tent, and you're stuff to try to stay warm in your tent. You're located in some place where whichever police department has jurisdiction sort of tolerates as long as
enforcement. I guess they're part of it.
As long as people behave themselves and as long as the landowner or neighbors don't file complaints. So it's a tenuous situation, but there they are, and there's always a Monday through Friday, of course, there's always the soup kitchen, and you're open at 8 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30.
A.m.
So folks can come in there, they get a cup of coffee and be someplace warm, get a shower, and then of course the meal at the soup kitchen. The soup kitchen closes down at 2 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
We were there until 2.
Out on the street you go, and you can get to the Lifehouse as a day shelter, or currently Grace House over on Highland Avenue. That's again sort of a tenuous thing. And the Salvation Army, when it's below about 32 degrees, when it's going to be below that overnight, again the national decision was to open the cafeteria. You can sleep on the floor. It's pretty much, it's not a lot, but hey, you're inside and it's 60-something degrees probably at the floor level there, so it's a lot better. But the problem is, the warming stations that they were referring to, from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock, Lifehouse closes down. Grace House, I think, is closing about that time. Again, it's a little, and so the churches have decided to open up some facility, typically providing some sort of meal, a place that's warm. In our situation, we've got a large youth area at First Presbyterian, so we've got some couches and television, and last Monday night we had 26 people at one point. There are kind of ebbs and flows during the evening. And you got people crashed on the floor, you got people sitting on the sofa, it's just, and we give them a warm place, and then truck them on over to the Salvation Army. Now, there's a problem with the Salvation Army in terms of group dynamics, because we'll say, okay, we're getting ready to go. Oh, well, 4 or 5 people won't go. Why aren't you going? Well, so-and-so's going to be there, and I know there's going to be trouble if I show up and so-and-so is there. And they'll go back to their tents or whatever. So it's not an ideal situation, but thank God for the Salvation Army opening up, because like Monday night, it was single digits, even when we closed up at 10 o'clock. So that's kind of in a nutshell what goes on, and these folks have to, they're on the move, you know, during the course of the day from one place to another. And think what you may about some of these folks and whether or not they should be in a situation like that or not. Some of these folks are really messed up. I mean, they've been through stuff, and they frankly just can't really do a very good job of taking care of themselves.
In that area of safety and security and staffing, would it, like for a dance, we have a security officer present during the dance. Would it make sense as part of the staffing requirement to have at least one
police
officer present? Because you're like you say, somebody who's afraid that Phil's gonna take his wrath out on me might like to have someone there to, and it would also help with any on-site liability for the property provider.
Yeah.
Some of these people are not.
I was gonna say, I like the cops, but the more they come to the soup kitchen, we don't call them until we need them for that reason. It's not that we don't like them. It's not that we don't want them there.
Ill ease. It's all part of their problem.
It makes people anxious, I think. Without it, I mean, I gotta be honest with you. A deputy sheriff got behind me this morning, and I was going a little fast. I wasn't even late, and I still get nervous. You know what I mean? And I don't have any problems or issues that I'm worried about today.
Yeah, one of our warming station seasons, we had some folks that were causing not real bad difficulty, but some difficulty at our warming station. And we asked one of the Hickory police officers just to drop in randomly and see us. And he did a great job. He was very low key but just a few minutes of his presence helps to break things down. Absolutely.
Sometimes you just got to drop in.
You got to understand, especially when it's in Hickory, that Hickory's community policing initiative is one of the best in the country. And they know how to deal with people like that. They don't have the cuff them and stuff them mentality. I think to hire somebody, it would almost be cost prohibitive because of what their off-duty rates are. But if you get with the department and let them know what you're doing, there's no question in my mind that they will have officers just to drop in, have a cup of coffee with the folks, and keep it moving. Not there to do anything in enforcement.
That's exactly what we had, and it was a big help, absolutely. All right, we've come to the end of the warning once again. So
we have a break next week. You back with the break? Or
if not, I'll send it to somebody.
all right. Other things we